era. This airplane specifically, I want to talk about it right here. Not a Corsair. Most people look at it and say, oh, it's a Corsair. This is the follow-on development called a Super Corsair. What's interesting about this is that the glider does. Our pilot still has in his hand a stick which controls the elevators out in front to control the pitch of it. His hips are still in a cradle to control the twist of the wings and the rudder. It also has, obviously, an engine on it. And that is a remarkable piece of engineering in and of itself. And it was done by a man who should be more famous than he actually is. Nobody's ever heard of him. He was a machinist for the Wright Bicycle Company by the name of Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor took the Wright Brothers specifications for an engine, and in 6 weeks, with a drill press and a lathe, made, by the end of the season, they might have enough money to maintain their airplane, and they might not. So, not exactly the safest form of transportation at that time, anyway. But you get an idea of how these people really liked what they did and wanted to continue to do it. Well, the government realized that there was no aviation industry to speak of in the U.S., and they wanted to spur it. Made obsolete by the airplane hanging over our heads, the DC-3. DC-3 is essentially a modern airplane. It was introduced in 1935. By 1938, nearly 95% of all its commercial air commerce in the U.S. was done to DC-3. So if you still owned a Boeing 80 or one of its 20s and 30s, that I think is just cool. An airplane like this was flown by a man named Jackson out of St. Louis, and he did over 400 consecutive slow rolls in one of these, which is just endless when you think about it, and slightly nauseating. The same man, with a partner named O'Brien, later set an endurance record. They flew one of these for nearly 27 consecutive days for it. Had some of the first air-to-air refueling. They would have another airplane as an engine test bed. In the early 1930s, it was sold to a man who you've never heard of, who should be more famous than he is, named Milo Burcham. Milo Burcham was a well-respected exhibition and stunt pilot in the 1930s. He flew many aerobatics competitions, some in this airplane, and he flew many races and did a lot of exhibitions. And as an example of some of the things he did, in this airplane in 1933, he set the world's endurance record for inverted flight. He flew it for 4 hours and 5 minutes, back and forth between San Diego and Los Angeles, upside down.